Hello guys, this is Takuki and this is an unscripted video. I wanted to take a look at one of the most absolute hated SpongeBob episodes. Some people might even consider it like a turning point in the series, so I want to kind of go back a few years later. I can't remember exactly how many years later at this point that I'm recording this, but I wanted to revisit it and see, like, was it like that bad? Because there's a lot of controversy surrounding this. So let's dive right into it. So the episode kicks off when SpongeBob pretty much teleports to Squidward's house first thing in the morning, and he wakes him up because he doesn't want him to miss work. But the problem is he's absolutely furious because it's Sunday, and he tells him,
"A good neighbor doesn't bother me on Sunday!"
So SpongeBob decides to get his Sunday paper to prove that he's a good neighbor. Then he runs into Patrick, who I guess was just standing around. So far, the episode isn't sporting any malicious intent or SpongeBob being completely unaware of how annoying he is or what problems he's causing for others, which tends to be a pretty big complaint in later seasons, even starting here, as early as season 4. Okay, let's talk about season 4 of SpongeBob real quick. SpongeBob was actually supposed to end with the movie, but, they're still going. It's been quite a while and it's still going. Whether you like season 4 or not, you can agree that there was a noticeable shift in how the characters acted and the writing itself. That's due to the fact that some of the original writers left and were replaced with new ones. There aren't actually that many season 4 episodes that are considered SpongeBob episodes, except for the one that I'm reviewing right now, of course. The seasons with the most SpongeBob episodes are seasons 6 through 8, which isn't too surprising considering that season 7 alone has Stuck in the Ringer, A Pal for Gary, the Legends of Bikini Bottom miniseries, and I believe One Course Meal is on here as well. SpongeBob Last Stand, Yours, Mine, and Mine, and a couple more that a lot of people just do not like. So in comparison to that, you have to wonder if people were just a little too harsh on season 4. A good question to pose as well is whether or not that this one bad episode was amplified. Like, did it feel worse because there were other really good episodes in season 4? Such as Have You Seen This Snail? Which a lot of people love because it also had a really good song in it, so just keep that in mind. Despite the rude awakening, Squidward doesn't let it sour his day. He gets cozy and even orders a pedicure and foot massage at 4 o'clock p.m. Remember that, by the way. As Squidward finally starts to calm down, SpongeBob breaks into his house again, and this time with Patrick, so they can inaugurate him as the president of the Good Neighbors Lodge that they created this afternoon. Correction, it was actually that morning. Squidward orders them to paint all of the trees in the town polka dot to keep them busy for a couple hours and to get them out of his house. Wanting to make sure that they don't eat up more of his afternoon time, he goes to check on them, and for some reason, Patrick just pulls on SpongeBob's arm where they put paint inside of him so that every time they pull his arm, that polka dots come out because he has holes and all that. So while they're talking to him, he just randomly does it, gets polka dots all over Squidward, causing him to be blinded temporarily and then stumbling out into the street where he almost gets ran over. That was completely out of pocket, and I have no clue why he did that. Luckily, the couple stops before running him over and quickly usher him to the hospital, believing that he's deathly sick. Patrick, in seasons 1 through 3, he never did things that were really dangerous to someone unless it was by accident because he just didn't know what he was doing. He came off as a friend that meant well but didn't always know fully what he was getting his friends into or what he was telling them. But you could say here, that's when Patrick started to have this behavior towards him where he would kind of do things for no reason and he would just do them and just hurt people. We can clearly see what he's doing is bad and he would just do it. Some people even claim that Patrick became more malicious and manipulative, maybe even going as far as to pretend he wasn't as stupid. Pretend he was dumber than he actually was. So when watching earlier episodes where that wasn't fully taking place, you can kind of see where that started. So some time passes and SpongeBob decides to hold a meeting. Patrick falls asleep and SpongeBob realizes that Squidward isn't there, thinking he's still on his Sunday drive after they go looking for him. By now it's 4 o'clock p.m. and remember that pedicure that Squidward ordered? Yeah, well the guy shows up to give him a pedicure and a foot massage. Despite all the trouble he's gone through this afternoon, he decides he can still be hopeful about his pedicure. The only thing is when he walks in, he discovers that SpongeBob and Patrick are getting it for him.
We're checking to make sure this guy really is a certified foot masseur and not some kind of assassin.
Well, I say he checks out A-okay.
He tries to clear up the mistake, but it's far too late. The time schedule that he booked for the pedicure was pretty much up. This sends Squidward into a rage, where he stomps on their fezzes and calls them the worst neighbors ever. He does this after overhearing whether or not SpongeBob was wondering if he was trying to tell him something this entire time. That's another thing you could argue for Season 4 as well. SpongeBob was never completely oblivious, he was just childish. And that's kind of a trend that you might start to notice, is that certain characters' one-off traits start to get more and more exaggerated, we'll say. I also want to mention that Squidward's voice actor puts so much effort into every episode he's in. It's like crazy.
Gee, Patrick, do you think Squidward was trying to tell us something?
Yes, I was! You call yourselves good neighbors? You're the worst neighbors ever! You don't deserve to wear those fezzes!
Gee, Pat, maybe President Squidward's right.
Yeah, I guess we aren't good neighbors after all.
No, you aren't! You're horrible neighbors! Stop calling me president!
SpongeBob and Patrick finally get the message, and there's only 3 hours of Squidward's Sunday left. Squidward has had it. This pushes him to get a security system for his house. Sorry, I'm laughing because I know what clip I'm gonna insert next. After Squidward installs a security system, SpongeBob and Patrick just walk into his house. He's pretty alarmed by this because he specifically got it to keep them away. So he tries to alert the security system of a threat. But all the two came here to do was to give him a cake to apologize for bugging him so much, as the cake reads. He gets very frustrated and starts banging on the security system, which detects him as the threat. And well, I'll just let this very famous clip explain. I'll let him explain what happens next.
Security system takes control of Squidward's house and begins attacking the city, leaving the mayor to give Squidward community service for the damage he caused, even though SpongeBob and Patrick were in his house the whole fucking time and were responsible for everything. Yeah! Fuck this episode! This episode is when the Squidward torture porn started to become a regular staple in SpongeBob's episodes.
So yeah, he tries to relax while the two are in his house. And then, when the house finally shuts off because SpongeBob found a switch, the townspeople are angry at him, and they show up to give him community service for every Sunday for the rest of his lives. The episode ends as Squidward is left in despair, and SpongeBob goes,
Well, see you next Sunday, President Squidward.
Looking back on it, this episode really was unusually mean-spirited towards Squidward. Even if you've been following the first 3 seasons, and that's all you have to go off of, like when this aired. But does it deserve the everlasting hate and outrage that this gets? Well, I'd say yeah. It wasn't until I looked closer at this episode that I realized just how mean and unusually cruel it is. In the original seasons, when something like this would happen, it was always either because of his arrogant attitude, or something selfish he was trying to accomplish which would result in something like this. A good example of this is the episode Fools in April, but it's also interesting to note that this can be done but still have an imbalance of punishment to crime. So in this episode of Overhated, let me know, do you think that the hate's warranted? How outraged did this make you feel? Until next time, please like and subscribe. If you liked it, this is just my first type of review like this. So just tell me how you think I did. Bye.